Hi, welcome to Dyslexia RX webinar. Today's topic is 10 ways to feed growing brains, nutrition solutions to improve cognitive function. I would like to welcome our guest, Melissa Furman, who, by the way, I just have to say this, those of you that may have been following this on social media, our children are friends and have been trying to get us together for years. And so it's kind of near and dear to my heart to be doing this with somebody that I've known of and my daughter has a friendship with. So I'm really glad that you're here, Melissa. Let me go ahead and just share with you a little bit about Melissa. She's a nationally board certified health and wellness coach who works with adults, couples, and families, helping them reach health goals and improve overall well-being using diet, lifestyle, constructive mindset, healthy habit building, and positive behavior change modalities. She offers private coaching to adults, couples, and families, and an online course plus coaching program for midlife women. Her practice is centered around evidence-based nutrition and lifestyle practices for efficient weight management, chronic disease prevention and management, energy restoration, and more. Everyone is in a different place on their health journey and has different struggles. So Melissa meets clients where they are by personalizing lifestyle strategies for long-term effectiveness and overall better quality of life, embracing all aspects of wellness. She empowers each client by guiding them toward practical steps to implement right away in their unique lives. Melissa is the CEO of MAF Health Coaching and founder of the Second Youth Wellness Method for Midlife Women. She earned her master health-based, she earned her master health coach certificate from Dr. Sears Wellness Institute and the plant-based nutrition certificate from T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Culinary School. She's a lifelong learner and a compassionate entrepreneur and heart for helping others improve through a plant-predominant diet. Melissa is a University of Kansas Jayhawk graduate, a lifelong equestrian, and enjoys being active outdoors with her husband, Jay. Book a free consultation or call and get more information at her website at melissafurman.com and connect with Melissa on Facebook and Instagram at MAF Health Coach. The other thing, Melissa, we didn't plan for this, but I want to share is you just announced yesterday on social media that you are now an author of a cookbook. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if you were prepared to speak to that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, super exciting. It's been months and months and months in the making, actually almost 10 years in the making. And I'm so excited to have pushed that publish button.
I bet you are, because I was reading your post, and after I read your post, you had mentioned something like, if you're interested, go ahead and put your hand up or DM me. And I'm like, me. Like, I think I was like the first one to jump in on that. So super excited that
Excellent. Thank you so much.
you get to share with our audience, why in the world are we talking about nutrition when we usually talk about dyslexia and reading and learning, and why are we talking about what we eat? And so I know for some, this seems like a huge leap. However, I have just learned from my personal experience in health that food really is what gives us our energy and clarity in our brain and can help reduce all those things that we just think are normal, that brain fog and fatigue. We just think we've had a long day or we're just tired, when really it's what we're eating. And so I kind of was starting this health journey on my own and noticed these benefits. And then when I connected with Melissa, I think her and I kind of became social media friends because we were posting kind of similar stuff. And one day I just reached out to her. I'm like, hey, you have a lot of interesting information, education. I would love for you to speak to our viewers. So that is the connection of why Melissa is here today. So turn it over to you, Melissa.
Thank you. And it is such an honor to be with you here, Penny. What you do in the dyslexia community is amazing, supporting your community. And I appreciate you bringing me in because, like you just said, nutrition has such powerful effects on our brain health. And, it's interesting because are raising our children and we are functioning in a society that is not geared towards the dyslexia community. It is not geared towards helping us use diet and lifestyle for optimal health. Excuse me. We have so many challenges in life and distractions, and I'll get into this in my presentation in a minute. But hats off to you, Penny, for bringing this to the forefront, because what I do as a health coach is empower my clients to use diet and lifestyle to help them optimize their health and to be super successful in whatever they do. We all have different challenges, be it dyslexia or ADHD or a number of things, and we can optimize our health by using proper nutrition. It's kind of like putting high octane gasoline in our car. And if we want to be a race car, we're going to put the really good stuff in our car. If we want to be the love bug, or remember those days of the love bug, we may not need to spend the extra money or effort in putting the good fuel in our car. So that's what today is about. So I hope that analogy helps a little bit.
It's perfect, actually. Yes.
Good. So shall I share my screen?
Yes.
This is amazing. Okay, cool. So welcome. This is the 10 ways to feed growing brains, natural solutions for improving cognitive function. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here. This presentation will help you use diet and lifestyle to help optimize brain function. So here we go. It is no secret that the American lifestyle is, there's a problem in the American lifestyle. And about 10%, the Surgeon General says about 10% of American children have been diagnosed with ADD or another learning disability. And these may lead to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, delayed learning, loneliness, suicide. The list can go on. You may have a loved one in your life with ADHD or dyslexia or another learning disorder, and that's why you're here. Or you yourself may be struggling with this and learning ways to cope with it. And that's wonderful that you're here, because I'm here to give you tools in order to be able to manage through extra struggles. Either way, you're here for an important reason, to optimize brain function. And the good news is I'm here to give you those tools to help do that. And for our young people in the audience and for those who we care for, it's really, really important because their minds are developing. These are their formative years, and this sets them up for success later in life. Like I said, the Surgeon General says that obesity and weight control is a number one concern in our country. And this may or may not be a surprise to you, but what might be surprising is that the cause is food. That is the root cause, is our food is providing extra struggles for us. And the solution is also food. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about, because it doesn't have to be a struggle. And I'm here today to give you some of those ways that we can use food to help us. As caregivers for young people, we do the best that we can to provide the best that we know how. We try to be superheroes in our own lives to help our children, and we do all the things providing the best that we know how. But sometimes our best just doesn't work out the way that we want to have them go for whatever reason. And it's not your fault, because we live in a society that's full of distractions and temptations and busyness with errands and work and all the things. So today I'm here to help you combat any conflicting information that you've received, and to kind of clarify some of that, to help you help your kiddos or yourself to have better brain health, to smooth the bumps in the roads, and to get over challenges. You might feel like you're swimming upstream without a paddle, maybe. And I'm here to help you kind of be a roadmap, be a guide, give you some GPS guidance for better brain health. And I want you to know that you are not alone. There's a community in the Dyslexia RX world. There's a community of people outside of that also has brain function at the very core of their interests. And whether it be dyslexia or ADHD or other learning disabilities, you are not alone. I myself put family as the number one priority in my life, and you probably do as well. You are in a community of people who are like-minded. This is a picture of my family at my son's wedding this past October. I am a mom of two children who have ADHD, who struggle with that as well. They're twice exceptional children. They are also gifted learners. And so raising them, they're now in their 20s, and raising them was a challenge, because not only did I have to give them enhanced learning for their giftedness, I also had the extra challenge of overcoming some ADHD brain function situations. And so that's just to say that you are not alone. Dyslexia and ADHD and other learning disabilities, they all can be helped. They're not curable, but they can be helped and help you manage and cope with the situations that you've been dealt. So today the objectives are threefold. So why nutrition is important for your brain health of young people and for all ages. And I'll approach this through a plant-centric diet. This is what works for myself for almost 10 years, what works for my clients. Their results are amazing. I wish we had tons of time to talk about that, but we don't. And then I'll give you 10 ways that you can, practical ways you can take home this information and use them at home. I call them healthy habit builders, kind of like what I teach in my online program. So these are healthy habits that you can instill and implement in your own life, starting as early as today. And then at the very end, we'll talk about some practical tips and strategies that you can implement. First, I want to talk about Carla. She is a private client that I had. She's a grandma in her 60s, and she had her own personal health goals. She wanted to lose weight and know what to eat that's healthy for her. She wanted to reduce her cholesterol as well. She was very active. She liked to travel and do lots of active things and walk daily. But what was interesting with Carla's story is that because she's a grandma of two young children, they would come over to her house and watch what grandma's eating. And as they came over more and more, as Carla and I worked together, they noticed the changes in Carla's life. And so they would ask her about it. And what was really fun is the children saw Carla's improvements and they wanted to eat what Carla was eating. And so they would start cooking together and do lots of fun things together with food. And so Carla was able to use the things that I'm talking about today with you with her grandchildren, and that was helping them be learners as well. And I'll talk about Carla and the results in a little bit. So the practical part of today's presentation, it all stems around one central idea, and that is about the standard American diet. You may have heard about the SAD diet, and this is a nutrient-dense diet, the opposite of a nutrient-dense diet. The American standard diet is processed foods, lots of high-fat foods, and so on and so forth. And today I'm talking to you about a nutrient-dense diet, using a plant-centric diet, what the body is designed to thrive on. So we'll just dive right into the 10 practical ways we can do that with the mindset of this. This is the mindset that I teach my clients, and that is we approach health through diet and lifestyle through a holistic mindset versus a reductionist mindset. You know, society is set up to challenge us because the society is set up to give us one pill for one problem, or eating a certain food to solve all of our problems. And that's not what it's about. It's about a holistic view, not a reductionist view to one thing or one solution. It's the whole thing. It's kind of like a symphony working together in harmony that all makes beautiful music. And that's what today is about. So when you change your food choices, here's what you can expect when changing them to a nutrient-dense food choice. And this is what's good for brain health. And the results are amazing. It's kind of like investing in the future. So you could expect in the future, as you develop more nutrient-dense foods, implement nutrient-dense foods into your lifestyle, you can expect to feel better, to focus better, have less struggles with homework or household chores, things like that. You'll have less emotional struggles, less mood swings. Things just start to even out, and you'll see that harmony and that symphony start to come to life. It's like investing in the future. We're very familiar with investing in our money for retirement, and that's what this is like. You're investing in good nutritious food for a healthy future. I talk about smart foods, building smart brains. And where I got my health coach training at the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute, Dr. Bill Sears talks about smart foods, building smart brains. And he tells his patients, he also practices in the clinic, and he tells his patients that a lot of his young patients have NDD, which is nutritional deficiency disorder. It's very interesting because when we don't have the nutrition, it's very difficult for our children to succeed. But when we provide the right nutrition, they have more chances to have more successes. The child's brain grows very rapidly in the first 5 years of life. About 90% of the adult size is achieved by 5 years of age. And just by the age of 2, it triples in size. So those first 2 years are so important. And about 10, when you're starting to get into those teen years, about 25% of our food energy and as adults is used for the brain. So you can see that giving the brain its proper nutrition is super important. So the goal here too is to feed the brain's neurons and give them the raw materials that it needs to function optimally. It has to do with building cell membranes and the axons and firing off those neurotransmitters and smoothing the myelin. That's what this is about. And we do that through food. So this is our first of the 10 ways to feed a growing brain. And it has to do with feeding smart fats, namely omega-3 fatty acids. The standard American diet gets a high amount of omega-6 fatty acids. And that's in our processed foods and our fried foods and things like that, and in our meats and our dairy. And so while we need omega-6 fatty acids, the desired ratio is about 2 to 1. 2 omega-6 fatty acids to 1 omega-3 fatty acid. And the standard American diet, the ratio is upwards of 25 to 1. So you can see that there's a big room for improvement here if we can feed omega-3 fatty acids more than omega-6 fatty acids. And there was a research done at the university, at Purdue University, and they did a research with subjects with ADHD, and the highest amounts of omega-3 fatty acids given to those subjects, they had fewer learning disability or learning problems, and they had less aggression and less hostility. So not only was the brain functioning better, their attitudes were improved as well. And this is super important for our teen population as they learn to drive and they start to gain independence. So you can see the importance there as well. And there were some other animal studies on the omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids as well. And in the animal studies, they noticed that the higher amounts of omega-3 fatty acids resulted in increased dopamine, which is kind of that feel good, feeling good about yourself hormone. So whether or not that translates to the human population, it certainly suggests that it would in these animal studies. So when we want to feed our brain smart fats, what do we need? What do we want to eat? And here are some examples. So in the plant-based world, you can see the list here, walnuts and flax seeds and chia seeds, avocados, oils, not the olives, not the oils of olives, but the olives themselves in the whole food form. Again, that holistic view of the food is the whole food. Nuts and seeds and salmon are also great examples of omega-3 fatty acids. So if you eat mostly the plant forms of the omega-3 fatty acids, you're in good shape. And if you want to add some of the animal forms of that, salmon and cold water fish are really important in that also. It's important to remember that cold water fish is a better choice because of the pesticides and the mercury content in the warm water fish, and those high on the food chain. So we want to be careful to get wild caught and cold water fish if those are what you would like to include in your diet. Things to avoid are the fried foods, high fructose corn syrup, trans fats, and partially hydrogenated oils. So those are the smart fats to be on the watch out for. Number 2, fuel up on smart carbs and smart proteins. This is kind of a hot button. A lot of people look at the low carb diets like paleo and keto, and it's really important because we still need carbohydrates in our diet, but we need right carbs or smart carbs. And these are the ones that have high fiber content. For the growing brain, 50% of the carbs that we eat are used for brain growth. And when we use the right kind of carbs, these are the ones that have fiber in them, and only plants have fiber. So keep that in mind, because fiber is so important for gut health and smoothing out the release of sugar and glucose, which is what's in carbohydrates. So that's why fiber is super important, as is protein. Super important to get the right types of smart proteins. And these are things that will help us with alertness. And again, those neurotransmitters firing properly and creating those good hormones. These are the ones that contain tryptophan. These are the building blocks of serotonin, another feel-good hormone. And let's see, on the next slide, I have some examples of that, of what they do. When we eat smart carbs and smart proteins together in the form of plants that have high fiber, we get that alertness, the steady energy, and the greater ability to pay attention. So when you put these together in the form of plants, because of that fiber, that all-important fiber, this is what happens. It creates better digestion, easier on the sugar release. It slows that down, and it steadies the brain chemicals, which is really important. And so here's an example of a strategy that we can use for eating right carbs and right proteins, and that is to graze. So when we graze on these good carbs and these good lean proteins, we steady that blood sugar release. And good examples of this is just to kind of eat those high fiber, smart carbs, smart protein finger foods throughout the day. A smoothie is a really good example of that, and to sip on it throughout the day. In my program, I call it the sipping solution. Dr. Sears introduced this to me, and it's called the sipping solution. So we have a smoothie that is high fiber, lots of good nutrients in it, and we can sip it throughout the day, which is a nice, slow, steady energy source. Mini meals is another strategy. So if we can enjoy mini meals throughout the day instead of 3 large meals, that also helps steady the release of sugar. And we, of course, in the standard American diet, have the challenges of lots of burgers and tacos and high fat meals. And so this is something to keep in mind when we go out to restaurants and choose. We can still enjoy right carbohydrates and right proteins. Just choose them smartly. And what's good news is a lot of the restaurants offer meat alternatives. So you can get a plant-based alternative at restaurants more and more frequently. So here's some examples of what that might look like. On the left of your screen, you see a list of things that you can eat that are right carbs or smart carbs and smart proteins. Beans is high on the list. Tons of different types of beans. You can choose canned beans or dry beans and make them yourself. The Instapot and the crock pot are wonderful at doing that. Tofu and edamame are both soy-based, which is a soy-based food. So those are really good options, as is tempeh. Tempeh is a soy-based food as well. It's a fermented food, so that adds a little extra bonus for the gut health. Nuts and seeds are high in protein, so those are good examples of right carbs and right proteins. And then whole grains, believe it or not, whole grains have protein in them, and those are high in fiber as well. Veggies and fruits have protein in them as well. A lot of fruit is high on the glycemic index, so When you pair that with protein, it helps to curb that release of sugar and helps steady that release of sugar. Things to avoid are fatty meats, processed meats. The World Health Organization has classified processed meats, including bacon and deli meat, as a class 2 carcinogen. So when we eat those deli meats and bacon, that's something to really keep in mind, and it really affects the brain health as well. Fiberless carbs. This is the key. When we eat white rice and white bread and soda and candy and sweet beverages and sports drinks, they have zero fiber or super low levels of fiber. So that's something to really keep in mind. Some good ideas to eat for right carbs and for right protein are here on the bottom right of your screen. Apples with seed butter or nut butter, trail mix, oatmeal raisin cookies, zucchini muffins, edamame. You can steam some edamame and put some seasonings on it, and tofu. So those are some good examples of some right or smart carbs and smart protein. Number 4 on our list is figure out your mood foods. This is what I would call roller coaster foods. So as you can kind of see on the picture on your screen, these are 2, I'm assuming, siblings kind of arguing. And believe it or not, foods really can affect our mood. And they're filled with carbohydrates and preservatives, and that can be not carbohydrates, additives and preservatives, and that can really affect the mood. So watch out for these mood foods and really watch for the patterns in the behavior and tie them to the foods that the kids are eating. So you might journal, and it might say something like, when my kid eats or drinks this food, this is how they behave and how they feel. And so you can see the pattern in your life. So make a list and see what foods affect your child. These are some ideas to eat breakfast, to start the day out strong with those right carbs and right proteins. Think about doing a 90-10 rule. If you eat 90% healthy, plant-strong foods and maybe have some 10% treats, see how that works for the mood and the attitude, and make sure we hydrate and stay hydrated. About half an ounce per pound of body weight is what's suggested for how much water we should drink every day. Things to avoid are called, what I call, and Dr. Sears calls, excitotoxins. These are highly processed, sugary foods, have chemical additives, colorings in them. Things that might be hard to pronounce on the ingredients list, things that maybe your grandma didn't know existed because they're chemicals, they were made in a lab, and those are not natural. So typically those could be considered excitotoxins and can really affect the children. And some ideas you can see at the bottom with smart fats and smart carbs, get those smart proteins, fiber-rich foods, grazing throughout the day, and the list goes on. So we have rule number 5 to increase brain function is eat green. This has to deal with folic acid, or you may have heard it as folate. And this is vital for growing healthy brain cells. And the best source of eating green are green leafy vegetables. You can see the list there on the left. Dark green leafy vegetables are the best. The darker, the better. They have super nutrients in them. And then things to avoid are the lighter colored lettuces, like an iceberg lettuce, junk food, candy. You can see the list there. So some ideas on how to increase your greens and your folate. You can see in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Salads, smoothies. I like to chop up kale into tiny little pieces and call them sprinkles. So those are some suggestions there to increase your greens. And switching colors here, we can eat blue. So number 6 is eating blue. And this has to do with increasing the antioxidants in our foods. And they're not just blue foods, but the example here is blueberries. So blueberries, a lot of people call them a superfood. I call them a superfood. And they're a great brain food because they have something in them called a flavonoid, which is antioxidant, and that is what keeps the rust, if you will, the rusting of our brains in check. So the antioxidants help get rid of that rust and keep it strong and functioning well. There was a study done on rats, and the blueberries that they gave the rats improved their coordination and their balance and their mental aging. So that was really interesting. And they acted younger. So that was really interesting. I think we're short on time, so you can kind of read the rest of the slide there, but there have been a number of studies done on antioxidants and what that does for us. It's a vasodilator. It increases the blood flow, which feeds the brain oxygen and nutrients. So Eat Blue is our number 6. And these are some ideas of what you can do to increase eating blueberries or high antioxidant foods like raspberries and blackberries as well. You can add them to muffins and pancakes and trail mix, I guess in the dried form, and adding them to smoothies and topping cereals. So lots of really good ideas there. Some of our youngest little kiddos, they might enjoy finger foods of raspberries and blueberries. So those are fun things as finger foods. So number 7 is focus on phytos. So if you're not willing to go 100% plant-based, that is totally okay. The more you focus on phytonutrients, phyto meaning plants, the more benefits that you will enjoy. So the brain burns so much energy. It produces exhaust. That's what I was talking about, the waste product, the rust, and increasing the antioxidants helps combat those free radicals that are produced when eating the standard American diet and some of those foods that we had mentioned earlier. So focusing on phytos helps reduce those free radicals and increase the antioxidants. And we do that through the fiber, feeding our gut and our food. And so here's an example of what that might look like. So on the left, you'll see what I call the plant-powered plate. This is something that I have that I use in my program, the Second Youth Wellness Method. And it really just helps explain what an example of what a plant-heavy or a phyto-heavy meal might look like. And so you'll see a lot of people are concerned about protein, and we really only want 25% of our plate to be protein. And if we can use that as plant protein, that's even better. So the more we increase plants, the better our brain health will be. And we do that by what I call eating the rainbow. And I don't mean eating the pretty colored candies. I mean eating a rainbow of colorful fruits and vegetables. And number 8 on our list is mind your minerals. These are 3 super important minerals to keep in mind when we are talking about brain function. And iron is top of the list. So when we pair iron-rich foods with vitamin C, it helps the absorption. Next screen, I'll give you some examples of what that might look like. But what that does is it increases the hemoglobin. It helps make hemoglobin in our blood, which feeds oxygen to our brain. So high iron foods are super important for brain function. Calcium and zinc are also super important for brain function. And we talked about omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin C for the zinc absorption, and vitamin E also. So here we'll get a little more specific. Iron are building blocks, and this is kind of a target for our children and our teens at different ages of how many milligrams a day that we can aim for our iron. Calcium is no secret important for building bones. It's very surprising, I guess you can say. A lot of people think that calcium in the form of cow milk helps the bone health. In fact, there have been studies done that calcium in the form of cow milk or animal milk actually leaches calcium from the bones. So I think that was a big marketing effort, and the marketing folks won that calcium builds bones, when in fact in the cow form it does not, or animal form it does not. But we can get calcium through plant foods. And zinc you can see there too. Brushing right along, and here's a list of iron-rich foods that you can implement into your diet that when eaten with vitamin C actually helps absorb the list of foods there that helps absorb the iron. Here's a list of some calcium foods and information on the calcium. You can take a screenshot there. And here's some foods on the calcium as well. Things that are really important to note here are things to avoid. Phosphates in soft drinks can leach calcium from the bones. So the more soda you have, the more phosphate you have, it really affects bone health and can create osteoporosis later in life. So that's super, super important. Here's a list of zinc. I kind of listed these in the amount of zinc that they have. So crab is surprisingly super high on the list of zinc. So there's a list of some foods that you can implement to increase zinc in the diet. Number 9, we kind of hit on this a little bit, excluding excitotoxins. Excitotoxins, Dr. Sears talks about them a lot. He sees a lot of this in his clinic. Food additives really alter brain chemistry. Aspartame, MSG, and hydrolyzed vegetable protein are super high on the list as things to really avoid and to watch. And these are considered excitotoxins. And what they do is they really affect the mitochondria, which are the energy centers of the brain cells. It really affects that. It can get us out of balance and really cause a lot of brain hiccups, if you will. Here's a list of some of the ones that we really want to watch. Dr. Sears calls them the bad words. So MSG, aspartame, you can read the list there. A lot of the colorings, unfortunately, a lot of the foods that are marketed to our children have a lot of colorings in them. So those are things to watch. It really affects the blood-brain barrier. There's a 1 cell layer thick barrier between the blood and the brain. That's there to protect our brain from toxins. And excitotoxins can really affect that 1 cell layer thick protective barrier. So our children might say that they have headaches or feel weird after eating excitotoxins. So that might be something to journal of foods to watch out for. Last on our list are eating a brainy breakfast. So a lot of people rush out the door and they're so busy to get to work or school on time and remembering homework and backpacks and packing lunch. And I totally get it. I was there. Brainy breakfasts are super important, even in the rush of things. So it's the first priority of the day. And we really need to focus on getting the day started out right. I call this front loading a healthy day. Here are some examples of what that might look like. Again, getting those right carbs, right proteins, lots of fiber in the day, and it just sets the tone for a better day. It helps curb cravings. It helps the children really curb those cravings for junk food, for overeating. It just really sets the tone. I don't know that I can stress enough how important eating a healthy breakfast is for growing brains. And Penny didn't know this, but I am throwing in 2 bonus tips on growing healthy brains. And one is hydrating with water. Super important to make sure that we get a lot of water in our diet. Choose water over anything else. The brain is about 73% water. And that just shows you how important it is to make sure that our brain has the water that it needs to function. And you can see on the screen some ideas of how to get more water in your diet throughout the day. And lastly, move it's not necessarily a nutrient, but it certainly helps deliver nutrients throughout the body. Exercise is super important for blood flow and providing those nutrients to the brain. 60 minutes of active physical activity is important for children every single day, 60 minutes. And when I say active, I mean getting that heart rate up. So super important to get movement throughout the day. And so here is our summary of, we moved just super fast, our 10 ways to feed growing brains with 2 extra bonus ways to grow brains. Our good
strong, healthy children. Super quick about Carla. So I just wanted to point out that the more she ate nutrient dense foods, the more her grandkids noticed and enjoyed that with her. And then they ended up cooking with her and looking forward to having smoothies was their thing. So they enjoyed having smoothies together. So it just goes to show you that the children, they may be craving the junk food and all of that, but when you are modeling this to your kids and grandkids, it can be very, very powerful. So what can we do? So these are some strategies that I like to encourage everybody to do. You can take a screenshot of this if you wish. And it can be so overwhelming, everything that I just delivered here in a very short amount of time. And there's so much more about this that I would love to talk to you about privately if you're interested. But these are some strategies that you can implement and just take, I love the first one because you can just take it one step at a time. Pick one thing that you want to focus on and avoid that overwhelm and keep going. It takes about 7 times for things to stick. So keep going, be consistent, role model this for your children. And you will also enjoy health benefits with those nutrient dense foods in your diet as well. And give it time, give yourself grace, keep going. And I love this, make it fun. I love making fun names for things. You could call, celery with peanut butter and raisins on top, ants on a log, different things. You can call it grow food instead of healthy food, just whatever works for your family. And then I love this one too, giving healthy choices to children. They love to be in charge of their lives, and rightfully so. And if we give them 2 or 3 choices of things that we as caregivers can champion for our children, then they get to choose from that list. And then that they will be healthy choices, but they got to choose that. So that's a really good tip there. And then just make the healthy choice the easy choice by having things handy for them, having baskets of healthy choices, healthy foods, fruit baskets, make it colorful, give them a special basket or special meals, make a bento box, different things like that. So those are some ideas to introduce healthy foods and to keep going. So as parents and caregivers, you are amazing. It is not your fault that the society is filled with challenging things that are out there. So I want to encourage you to keep going one day at a time. You being here, you watching this video, just shows you that you care about your children's health and your children's future and yourself. And I applaud that. Just keep going. You are amazing. And I just want to end here with my contact information. If you would like to join me for a free discovery call, you're welcome to book that call with me. You can email me. My website and social media information is there. So you can find me there. And it looks like one of my pictures didn't load, so I apologize about that. But there is my information, and I will leave it at that.
Wow, Melissa, that was beyond my expectations. You knocked it out of the park, and what great information. So
thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know you need to run. I just want to reiterate with everybody, this is recorded. We are going to get it out later today, so you'll have time to go through this at a little slower pace, but bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Penny. And if I could just end, I thank you for inviting me and for caring for your community. What you do is amazing. And you advocate for those with extra learning challenges, nothing that you can't overcome. And I just am so honored and privileged to be here to help you put tools in your toolbox to help make life easier. And that's what I'm about, is helping others use diet and nutrition to make their lives easier. So I have a cookbook coming out. It is perfect for families, and you can find it on Amazon. It should release tomorrow. So be on the lookout for the second youth wellness cookbook. And it's 81 recipes that are fuss-free and easy to make. So I'm all about fuss-free and fast and easy. And I hope that you all can consider putting that on your kitchen bookshelf.
Thank you, Melissa.
All right. I appreciate you, Penny.
All right, I think I stopped the recording. You get to your next meeting, and I will get it out to you later today.
All right. You're the best. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Bye.